Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about on Find Your Why. Passion is beautiful. It's fiery, emotional, and energizing. It drives late nights, early mornings, and the excitement of beginnings. But passion, as powerful as it feels in the moment, is also unpredictable. It can flare up and fade out just as quickly. It is intense but often unsustainable. Passion may get you started, but it is purpose that keeps you going. Think of passion as the spark that ignites the flame. It gives you the initial burst of energy to pursue something, to chase a goal or follow a dream. But when challenges arise, when rejection hits, when failure knocks, when the applause fades, passion alone may not be enough to keep you standing. That's where purpose enters. Purpose is deeper. It's quieter than passion, but far more powerful. It doesn't scream, it speaks in steady rhythms. It anchors you when things fall apart. It reminds you why you started when the excitement has disappeared. It's not emotional fuel, it's spiritual fuel. Purpose makes meaning out of struggle and gives direction to your drive. Without it, passion becomes random energy burning brightly, but without a path. Many people follow their passion only to find themselves exhausted, frustrated, or empty. That's because passion can be selfish. It often centers around what you love, what you want, what you feel. But purpose is bigger than you. It's not about what you want, it's about what you're meant to give. Purpose turns energy into service. It takes your personal fire and connects it to a larger mission. People who live with purpose don't just wake up excited, they wake up committed. They can endure hardship not because they enjoy it, but because they see through it. They see the meaning in the mess. They understand that not every day will feel passionate, but every day can still be meaningful. That mindset creates resilience, and resilience beats motivation every time. Passion is easy to find. It comes naturally when you're doing something you enjoy, but purpose must be discovered. It comes through reflection, challenge, and self-awareness. It's built through experiences, through moments of pain, through listening to what the world needs from you, not just what you want from it. Purpose asks different questions. Who can I help? What am I willing to suffer for? What impact do I want to leave behind? In every meaningful career, every lasting relationship, every world-changing movement, purpose is always at the core. Passion may give you the story, but purpose gives you the reason the story matters. Passion may draw a crowd, purpose draws transformation. Passion is energy, purpose is direction. And without direction, energy just spins in circles. We live in a world that loves labels. From the moment we enter school, we're conditioned to define ourselves by roles, grades, and achievements. Later in life, those labels evolve into job titles, business cards, social media bios, and LinkedIn profiles. We become managers, designers, teachers, entrepreneurs, analysts, consultants, words that sound professional, polished, even impressive. But none of those words define who you truly are. Your why is not a job title. A job title describes what you do. It may hint at how you do it, but it never tells the full story of why you do it. Titles are assigned by companies or industries, sometimes even by accident. You might land a role based on timing, connections, or circumstance. But your why is deeply personal. It's rooted in your values, your story, your belief about the kind of impact you want to make. And that cannot be summarized in a line on a resume. The danger of identifying too closely with your title is that when the title is taken away, you're left questioning your worth. When the job ends, when the company restructures, when the spotlight fades, what remains? If your sense of meaning was attached to the role, you may find yourself feeling lost. But when you're anchored in your why, you remain steady. Because roles may change, platforms may shift, but purpose stays constant. There's a quiet strength in knowing that you are more than your position. A nurse might think their why is to care for patients, but it's not about the job of nursing. It's about the belief that healing is sacred. An architect might design buildings, but their why could be to create environments that inspire human connection. A software developer may write code, but their why could be to solve problems that make life easier for others. The job is the vehicle, not the destination. It's the method, not the mission. Too many people confuse titles with identity. They become so attached to their profession that they stop growing beyond it. They fear reinvention because they think losing the role means losing themselves. But when you separate your why from your title, you become free. Free to evolve. Free to explore. Free to serve in different ways, in different spaces, without losing your sense of direction. You'll know you're living from your why when you start to feel fulfilled, not just by results, but by alignment. When you choose roles, not because they look impressive on paper, but because they reflect who you are at your core. When you say yes to opportunities not for validation, but because they allow you to express what matters most to you. That kind of living brings integrity, and integrity brings clarity. In this fast-moving world, people chase careers for status, income, or stability. Those are understandable goals, but they are temporary. What lasts is meaning. What lasts is the feeling that your work matters not just to you, but to someone else. That's what your why connects you to. It reminds you that your contribution goes beyond tasks and titles. It ties your daily actions to something timeless. Some of the most impactful people in the world had no grand title. Some were not CEOs or founders or executives. Yet they knew their why. They lived it with conviction. They showed up with intention. They served with consistency. That's what made them unforgettable. Not their label, but their legacy. If you strip away the job, the office, the credentials, what remains? That question may be uncomfortable, but it's powerful because it forces you to look inward and discover the real engine behind your actions. Your why is the reason you care. It's the truth that fuels your decisions. It's the quiet answer behind every bold move you make. Fear thrives in confusion. When we don't know where we're going, when we don't know why we're doing something, when the path ahead feels uncertain or undefined, fear multiplies. It becomes louder, stronger, more convincing. It tells us to sit down, to wait, to second guess. But clarity, real clarity, silences fear. It does not eliminate uncertainty, but it gives us the strength to move forward despite it. That strength is called courage. And it begins not with boldness, but with clarity. Clarity is not just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing what matters. It's not about having every step mapped out. It's about understanding your direction well enough to keep walking even when the road disappears under your feet. When you're clear about your purpose, clear about your values, clear about your reason for starting, you stop being controlled by fear. You begin to be led by conviction. Most people wait for courage before they act. They think they need to feel brave, strong, and ready, but that's not how courage works. Courage is what shows up when you have something to stand for. Clarity gives you something to stand for. When your mind is clouded, every risk feels overwhelming. Every decision becomes a debate. But when you know who you are and why you're here, even the hardest decisions become clearer. Even fear loses its grip. You don't become courageous by accident. You become courageous when you know what's worth fighting for. Clarity creates a filter. It helps you say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. It helps you walk away from things that no longer align, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. It gives you the confidence to let go of what's good in order to pursue what's great. Without clarity, we cling to the familiar. With clarity, we pursue what's true. In the absence of clarity, many people spend their lives reacting. They react to pressure, to expectation, to failure, to opinion. They change course at the first sign of doubt. They become experts at avoidance, not progress. But once you become clear about your why, about your beliefs, your mission, your values, you stop reacting and start responding. You respond with intention, with wisdom, with confidence. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I never try? Clarity doesn't mean certainty. You can be clear about your purpose and still have questions. You can be clear about your why and still feel nervous. That's normal. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward with it. The difference is when you're clear, the fear no longer owns you. It becomes background noise. It becomes smaller than your mission. There's a reason why the most focused people in the world often seem fearless. It's not because they were born that way. It's because they've done the inner work to become clear. They've asked the hard questions. They've spent time in reflection. They've looked at their pain, their past, their potential, and they've made peace with it. That kind of clarity turns ordinary people into leaders. It gives quiet voices the power to speak. It gives humble dreams the strength to persist. Without clarity, even success feels empty. You may accomplish great things, reach impressive milestones, win recognition, but inside there's confusion. You ask, what was this all for? But when you are clear, even the smallest step forward feels like a victory. You don't need outside applause to feel fulfilled, because the fulfillment comes from knowing you're aligned with your values. That alignment fuels courage that doesn't shake with opinion or trend. You may not know the entire journey. You may not see 10 steps ahead, but when you're clear on the first one, when you know why it matters, when you understand the deeper reason behind your actions, you take the step anyway. We grow up being taught to dream big, to chase success, to aim high, to climb ladders and break ceilings. We learn to build our lives around personal goals, career milestones, financial achievements, recognition, influence. And while there is nothing wrong with ambition, something critical is often left out of the conversation. We are rarely taught that the deepest fulfillment, the most enduring purpose, comes not from what we gain, but from what we give. Your why, your real why, is not just about you. It's bigger than you. When people begin the search for purpose, they usually start from the inside. What makes me happy? What excites me? What do I enjoy? But true purpose doesn't stop there. It extends outward. It asks, how can I use what I've been given to lift someone else? It demands that we take our talents, our experiences, even our pain, and transform them into service. Because when your purpose includes others, it multiplies in meaning. Living with a why that's bigger than you doesn't mean you abandon your dreams. It means your dreams become vehicles for something more profound. It means your work, your voice, your effort are part of something that reaches beyond personal satisfaction. The greatest people, the ones who leave a mark, are those who knew they were part of something larger than themselves. They understood that their actions affected people they might never meet, generations they might never see. A bigger why gives you stamina. When the process gets hard, when progress is slow, when you're tired or misunderstood, or doubting yourself if your why is only about you, it's easy to give up. But if your why is tied to someone else's hope, someone else's breakthrough, someone else's future, you find a deeper reason to keep going. You understand that your discipline, your choices, your sacrifices are not just yours to carry. They are seeds being planted for others to reap. Sometimes your why is found in the people you care about most. Sometimes it's rooted in the community you came from, the pain you've lived through, the injustice you've seen. Sometimes it comes from a sense of calling you can't fully explain but feel with every fiber of your being. That pull, that inner voice that whispers this. Matters is the voice of something greater. It's the whisper of a purpose that transcends titles, applause, or comfort. When you embrace a why that's bigger than you, it shapes how you show up. You begin to move differently. You speak with more intention. You listen more deeply. You lead not to impress, but to empower. You work not to compete, but to contribute. You start to realize that success is not just reaching the top, it's turning around and helping others climb too. This mindset transforms how you define value. It's no longer just about personal wins or numbers or visibility. It becomes about the lives touched, the burdens lightened, the opportunities created. It becomes about knowing that something you did, said, or created gave someone else the courage to begin. That kind of impact cannot be measured on a chart or resume, but it lives in the ripple effect your actions create. It's easy to believe that purpose is a luxury, something to be found when life is perfect or stable. But often your why reveals itself when you look outside yourself, especially in moments of challenge. When you ask, who needs what I have? Who can I help with what I've learned? That question opens the door to something much deeper than personal ambition. It opens the door to a life of legacy, not just success. You don't have to have a grand platform or a global audience to live with a big why. You just need to see beyond yourself, to recognize that your life, your voice, your presence carries weight. That someone somewhere is waiting on your courage, that someone's hope is connected to your honesty, that the world is better not because you existed, but because you decided to serve something greater with your existence. From a young age, we are taught how to blend in, how to follow the rules, mimic the model, meet expectations, and avoid disruption. We are told to be realistic, to be careful, to stay in line. We are praised for being polite, quiet, and agreeable, even if our spirit is begging to speak. Little by little, that message takes hold, that safety lies in sameness. But the truth is, you were not born to fit in. You were born to light up. There is a reason you think differently, dream uniquely, feel deeply. There is a reason your vision doesn't always match the room you're in. That difference is not a flaw, it is a fire, and it's not meant to be hidden. Yet many people spend their lives dimming their light to match the room, not realizing the room is dark because they haven't turned themselves on. They wear masks, perform roles, and walk carefully, terrified of standing out when they were built to stand tall. Fitting in feels safe, but it comes at a cost. It asks you to trade your authenticity for approval. It teaches you to shrink your voice to avoid judgment. It convinces you to ignore the pull inside you, the one calling you to more. But there is no peace in pretending. There is no power in being invisible. You cannot lead by following. You cannot shine by blending. The spark inside you is never meant to be silenced. Lighting up is not about ego. It's not about proving you're better than anyone else. It's about owning your truth, your identity, your unique frequency in a world that thrives on noise. It's about choosing to express what's real instead of what's expected, because the world doesn't need more copies, it needs originals. It needs people brave enough to live fully, speak honestly, and act boldly. Every breakthrough in history came from someone who refused to fit in. Someone who challenged the script, defied the standard, disrupted the pattern. They were misunderstood, mocked, even hated. But they kept showing up. They kept speaking out. They kept lighting the path, sometimes alone, because they understood that true change never comes from comfort. It comes from courage. Lighting up means living with presence. It means you walk into the room and bring your whole self, your story, your scars, your soul. It means your existence gives others permission to stop hiding. When you light up, you remind people that it's safe to be seen. And that kind of presence is contagious. It awakens something in others. It invites truth to the surface. It builds connection not based on perfection, but on authenticity. You don't need a stage or spotlight to light up. You just need to stop apologizing for who you are. You need to stop waiting for validation to be yourself. You need to stop filtering your soul to meet someone else's comfort level. When you choose to own your voice, your perspective, your energy, you become unstoppable not because you're fearless, but because you've decided to be free. Many people confuse fitting in with belonging. They are not the same. Fitting in is about changing yourself to be accepted. Belonging is about being accepted because you don't change. You were created with a light no one else has. It's not supposed to look like theirs. It's not supposed to be more or less. It's supposed to be yours. When you dim that light, you rob the world of something it can never replace. You can spend your life chasing approval, mastering imitation, and becoming a perfect version of someone else's idea of success. Or you can stop performing and start living. You can reclaim your identity, walk in your difference, and let your life speak louder than your fears. Because every time you step fully into who you are, the world becomes brighter. There's a moment in every person's journey where the path forward seems unclear. The dream might be vivid, the desire might be real, but the details, the how, feel overwhelming or even impossible. That's where most people stop. They wait for instructions, they search for signs, or they hesitate in fear of getting it wrong. But those who move, those who create impact and shift the atmosphere, they do something different. They begin with why. Because when you know your why, the how finds you. Clarity of purpose is the most powerful compass you can carry. It gives direction when plans fall apart. It gives strength when resources are limited. It doesn't guarantee that the road will be easy, but it ensures that the road is meaningful. The how may twist and change, but the why remains steady. Purpose gives you something to anchor to when everything else feels uncertain. So many people obsess over strategy. They try to map out every step, avoid every failure, and control every outcome. But life doesn't follow formulas. Plans can be useful, but they're not sacred. What is sacred is your reason to reason up, to keep trying to take the first step, even when the last step is still unknown. When that reason is clear, it becomes your fuel. It gives birth to creativity, resilience, and adaptability. Suddenly, the how begins to reveal itself not all at once, but step by step as you move. Your why is not results-driven, it's mission-driven, and mission has a way of pulling you forward even when you don't have all the answers. Too often people hold back because they don't see the full staircase, but purpose rarely gives you the whole blueprint up front. It gives you a reason to take the first step, and once you take it, the next one appears. Each movement reveals more. Each decision built on purpose unlocks a new possibility. The how is dynamic, but the why is foundational, and with a strong foundation, you can weather uncertainty without losing your direction. Knowing your why also attracts the right kind of help. When people see that you are driven by something deeper than ego or ambition, they're more likely to rally behind you. Purpose inspires trust. It creates connection. It builds movements. When your why is clear, it becomes a signal, a beacon that calls the right people, the right ideas, and the right opportunities to your path. It doesn't mean everything falls into place instantly, but it does mean you're no longer wandering. You're building with intent. Even in failure, purpose protects you. When plans collapse, a strong why helps you get back up. It reminds you that setbacks are part of the process, not signs to quit. It helps you extract lessons from disappointment and turn them into direction. Because when you're purpose-led, failure is not final, it's formative. It's just another step in the unfolding of how. You don't need all the answers to begin. You don't need perfect timing, unlimited resources, or a flawless strategy. You need clarity. You need a reason. You need a purpose that speaks louder than fear and lasts longer than obstacles. Once you have that, the rest begins to arrange itself in ways you never imagined.